Although I would like to talk about the Knicks absolutely dismantling the Indiana Pacers last night. I'm not here to talk about sports ball. We're here to talk about video game stuff. And we have a couple different stories going on, most of them pertaining to Nintendo. However, one of them actually ties into the state of play. So I do want to talk about this because it seems like another PlayStation Studios game may be coming to Nintendo platforms, which is something I've talked about before on the channel. You should have listened to me back then. And then, of course, we're going to wrap things up with talking about a newly discovered feature for the Nintendo Switch 2. So if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you like video game news. But without any further ado, let's talk about what is going on in the world of video games. And we're going to start things off with the Sony State of Play presentation, because allegedly there will be a game there that is being done by what remains of Bungie that is now being headed by PlayStation Studios after the layoffs that Bungie occurred, involving a game that is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It is a new IP, a new game, a MOBA game, which, well, I never play MOBA games, and the game is currently called Gummy Bears, and it has a very neon aesthetic with cute and colorful characters, and allegedly this is going to be a game that will be releasing on PlayStation, obviously, since it is a PlayStation Studios game, and the Nintendo Switch. So not only Lego Horizons, and you could count MLB The Show, but I don't really, but if this does indeed come over to Nintendo platforms, once again, you have to start to realize kind of what is going on here with this situation. Now, I have absolutely negative interest in playing this game. Cute and colorful MOBAs are not really my cup of tea. You kind of have to wonder, is there going to be a marketplace for something like this in the modern gaming landscape? Are people going to be gravitating towards new IPs and new characters from, Bungie? Like, I don't really know. I do hope the game does see some level of success, but the real question that you're asking is RGT going to do it? Is he going to do it in this video? And you know what? I am. Dashing and daring, courageous and caring, faithful and friendly with stories to share. All through the forest they sing out in chorus, marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the Gummy Bears. The only Gummy Bears I give a shit about is the damn cartoon, because that thing slapped and that theme song is iconic. I don't care about Gummy Bears. Do you? Let me know in the comments down below. Moving right along, though, I'm going to talk about Capcom, because Capcom obviously is a company that makes video games, some of my favorite video games, and Capcom has a big game coming out with Monster Hunter Wilds. This is a game that has been beta tested. It's coming out pretty soon for consoles, and people are really anticipating this game. Now, obviously, Monster Hunter is on a very high point right now with seeing lots of success. I mean, really, when you look at what Monster Hunter has managed to do as far as grow, not just in Japan, where it's always been popular, but kind of worldwide. It's very impressive, because this was always more of a Japanese thing that was an American niche, but now it's selling, worldwide with games like Monster Hunter Rise and all that sort of good stuff. But is Monster Hunter Wilds going to come over to the Nintendo Switch 2? Because obviously this game is for modern platforms only, and the Nintendo Switch 2 is on the horizon, but it's not coming to the original Nintendo Switch. Well, we actually have an interview with Capcom and the producer of Monster Hunter Wilds asking that very question. Of course, regarding Monster Hunter Wilds platforms, we don't have anything extra to announce beyond what's already out there. But we're also a bit in the same position as everyone else with Switch 2. It's such a new announcement, and we would need to take our time in the near future to know exactly the nature of the hardware and how we'll use it best. And that's something that's going to be in the future for us. So, not really closing the door on the situation of Monster Hunter Wilds potentially coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2. I do think it's kind of funny that they're like, oh, we need to know the nature of the hardware. You haven't had the hardware and you're not developing games. I guarantee you Capcom's going to have a slew of games at the launch of the system. Probably ports, stuff like Resident Evil 2 remake and stuff like that. Of course that's going to be there for the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. It just makes sense. Like it's a smart thing to do to port some of the games that maybe Nintendo fans haven't had a chance to check out. Maybe rectify those crappy Resident Evil 7 and 8 ports with the cloud only thing, make it available natively on the Nintendo Switch 2, use the DLSS, have a really good experience with it. But I definitely think you're going to get a lot of Monster. I mean, look at Monster Hunter Rise. That was a Switch game burst, and it sold extremely well for the platform. So Capcom is definitely keeping an eye on things when it comes to this. They're probably already working on a Monster Hunter game for the Switch too, and it could be potentially an exclusive, whereas Wilds will kind of be a multi-platform game. But I definitely think Capcom's going to be full force on this system. It just makes sense to me. It should make sense to you because there's money to be made on the Switch 2. Would you like to see Monster Hunter Wilds on the Nintendo Switch 2 though, or are you going to pick it up on other platforms? Let me know about that in the comments down below. And finally, we have a new patent that has been released that pretty much signifies a interesting change to the Nintendo Switch 2 versus the original Nintendo Switch. A bit of a new feature that I think is actually pretty cool. And the more I think about it, the more it makes like perfect sense for this to be a thing when you think about how the system is going to be designed, because we've seen, looking at the system, things are a bit different when it comes to the the emission of Joy-Con rails with a more magnetic sort of structure that is being used to put the Joy-Cons attaching to the system. The ports on the top and the bottom of the system, that's been something that has been kind of puzzling to a lot of people. Why are there multiple ports on this system? Is it going to be for accessories? I've seen things like attaching another screen to the Switch, which is just, it's just weird, honestly. But it seems like we have a little bit more information thanks to this patent, and Video Games Chronicles covered this. Basically, this patent notes that because the Nintendo Switch 2 only has one headphone port, players would be able to decide whether to have it on the top or the bottom of the console, depending on their preference. So basically what that is saying is the tablet portion of the Switch can now be, put kind of what you would expect to be upside down. When you have the current Nintendo Switch, and of course you have the Joy-Con rails, if you put the Joy-Cons in wrong or backwards or upside down, I mean, they could break. They can get stuck. It seems like Nintendo has actually solved that problem, though, by having the tablet portion of it being able to be positioned any way you want it, either, whichever way it is, whether you want the headphone jack on the top of it or the headphone jack on the bottom of it. Now, what's really interesting to me about that is not just the headphone jack, but the USB-C connector, because there's a USB-C connector on both the top and the bottom of it. And I'm guessing that that is so that you can charge the system much like the headphone jack is concerned. You could charge it from the top if you want. You could charge it from the bottom if you want when you're playing it in handheld mode. So giving the customer more options. I think it's a good feature to have. Obviously, you would assume that people would be able to put Joy-Cons on right, but I mean, we are humans at the end of the day, and if you look on the Twitter landscape, there's obviously some of us that are missing a few chromosomes, so you might as well make it like as easy as possible. Make it as simple as possible, and I think this is a good feature to have. I almost wonder if that means we could potentially see a Tate mode being utilized a bit on the Nintendo Switch too, because, some games would utilize a Tate mode, which would be like the long way, kind of like how Goldberg eats corn the long way. But like being able to position your Switch tablet like the long way and have it so that games can automatically recognize it, I think that would be kind of a neat thing, especially if you're playing like some older arcade games or games like Raiden or something like that. But what do you think about this? Do you think this is a good feature to add? Because, well, I don't know why you would think it was a bad feature. That would just be kind of weird. Let me know about it in the comment section down below. And that is all I have for you guys today, at least so far. We obviously have the state of play that I will be making a video on. There's been some very interesting rumors coming out of that. I hope some of them are true. If they're not, it'd be kind of a letdown. But the Parasite Eve remake, bro, I would flip. I would flip because I'm very close to replaying that game again. And if that's the case, I would just wait. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section down below, though. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. You're welcome for singing the Gummy Bears theme song. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.